Sorry. Yeah, so this is the last presentation of the day, and I know the last presentation before this one was about ransomware, so I don't think I have to tell you about the threats that we have out there today. So what I'm going to do is just give you a short insight of who WatchGuard is and what we do, and then some of the new products that we have. No SKUs and pricing, but just so you understand where we are, where we come from, and what we do. And if that's interesting, then you can talk to us. We'd be happy to visit you with your preferred partner or your preferred distributor and come and tell you more or let you test the stuff. So my name is Peter Johansson. I'm a Swede. So I live in Stockholm. And I gotta say, I was quite surprised today. I was at the hotel and there's a lot of police there. And they're going with these bomb kind of mirrors under the cars and in the bar and around the reception and so on. So I asked them, why is this? And they said, there's a very important person here. And I was so surprised. How could they know? But I'm happy, they keep me safe, so that's fine. Or maybe it was somebody else, to be honest. There you go. So just shortly, how many knows about WatchGuard since before? Not you, Janis. Have you heard of WatchGuard? Anyone? Do you guys just came in? Do you know about WatchGuard? I love that. And then I have a chance to actually tell you what we do. And 25 minutes is not a lot. So I'm just going to kind of tease you a little bit about what we do. And then, as I mentioned before, we can come and meet you. We can show what we have. You can test and so on. But just a short, view of who we are. We were founded in '96. It doesn't sound like, forever ago, but we were actually the first company to release a firewall as an appliance in the world. And that's what we still do. So we're kind of good at it, we think. So '96, the first firewall on the market. We actually deploy a box every 4 minutes around the world. Why we're bragging about this slide is because nobody knows who we are. They've seen some red boxes in some server rooms, and that's WatchGuard. It's kind of our signature color. But if I ask somebody in the street or a company, WatchGuard, and they go, I have no idea. And we're the biggest at what we do, which is kind of a surprise then that nobody knows us. Everybody heard about Cisco, right? IBM, Microsoft, all these big giants, nobody heard about WatchGuard. We do 1 billion scans every hour around the world. We protected 22 billion times our customers in 2015. And we have something called rapid deploy, which means if you have several offices, you can tell us, ship the boxes here, to that office, to that one, to this country, and you set it up in your office, and then when it gets connected, power and an RJ45 cable, it will configure, download and configure itself. So you don't have to be there. And that has some smart person saw that this is 16 years of labor that we've saved for our customers. So what is it we do? I want to show you what we do differently. So I'm not going to brag and go through everything that we do. But the focus for us is always high performance with UTM or next generation firewall. Have you all heard about UTM? Unified Threat Management. Putting services that are needed to keep you safe in one box with one license, one support. Yeah, well, it's a lot of services in a box. So if you want that, UTM is a good way to go. Next generation firewall, that's even more marketing. Because that's just UTM with some fewer services on it. But some colleagues of ours have done a great job advertising it. So we also have to say it. Hello, welcome. So we think that to be safe, you cannot just do pure firewalling. Also, threat visibility. You have to see what's going on in your network. You can have the best products in the world. There's a lot of examples. I'm not going to go through them today. But there are companies that are hit by hackers, have gotten malware into the network, and they actually had very, very good, not WatchGuard, doesn't matter. There's famous cases where they had really good vendors for protection, and they were still attacked, and they got the malware into the company because they couldn't see what was going on. You know, you can pay millions for the firewall. If you don't know what's going on in the network, you're in trouble. And we also believe that you will have access points. I mean, access points, that's just going to happen everywhere, if not already. But they need to be secure. It's a funny thing to see and meet companies who have the network through cables very secure, but they've done nothing with the wireless. It's kind of weird. And everybody connects wirelessly at the office nowadays. I never connect a cable to my computer. I guess nobody else is doing it either. At least one here is admitting it. But often it's not very secure. So this is what we do. High performance with all services on. We want to see what's happening. We give you tools. I'll show you shortly what it is, but we don't charge for it. We see it as a part of a security solution. You should have it, therefore we give it. And also we have some access points that do stuff that other vendors do not do to keep you safe. Does it make sense? Yeah? I'm not going to go through these either. I haven't even updated them, but we're winning a lot of accolades and prizes and stuff like that. So we're doing something right. And a short look at what we have. The smallest box for a few users, up to our biggest box for tens of thousands of users. And what I want to show you on this one, and also virtual firewalls, Hyper-V and VMware, is that all these boxes do exactly the same thing. Exactly. All the services are the same on the smallest as on the biggest. All the functionality, the user interface, everything's identical. And you might think that that's kind of logical, that if you know one, you know them all. But we're the only ones doing this, and we think it makes sense. It should be easy to use. And the only thing that is different here is the horsepower. How many concurrent sessions, how big throughput do you need, and so on. That's going to determine what kind of firewall you want. We always say you should have all services on. And you can have everything that we sell as a service on any box. Makes sense as well, right? This says coming in September. September was here recently, so we already have it. T70 was a box that does 1 gig throughput on a desktop version at a very low price point with power over Ethernet, and it's just faster than anything on the market in that size. So if you're interested to know more about the actual products, I'm happy to tell you. Tonight, over in our booth, or if you want us to come out and visit you, we can actually, test and show you. We can also, with all these boxes, we can do something called watch mode. Because some bigger companies, they don't know about WatchGuard, they don't trust us, and I can understand and respect that. So what we do is we go in, and instead of putting in line, we can put it in a mirror port in your switch. And from the first minute, we will show you exactly what's going on in the network. Who's on Facebook? Are you being attacked? Where's the attack coming from? It's called watch mode. We can do it just to demo, and we will not interfere with your network, but you can get a very extensive report on exactly what's going on. So if that is of interest, then let me know. So, one weird thing. I'm going to show you something now you're going to think is a bad thing, but when we think about it, I think it's very, very smart. What we do, imagine you can take a box, any box, paint it a color of your choice, and then choose vendors from all over the world. The best ones at URL filtering, the best content filtering companies, the best AV. You put it in one box, you sell it under one license, you have one support call to make if there's a problem. I think that's pretty smart. And that's why I work at WatchGuard. It's exactly what we do. These services, we believe, are needed to keep you safe. And here's one that doesn't say anything because we think there's going to be more things you're going to need to be safe in the future. We do not do these things ourselves. We buy them from the company we believe are the best in the world at it right now. You buy a license and a hardware, or a virtual firewall, and then when we decide that WebSense is not the best in URL filtering, that's who we use, or they're called ForcePoint now, then we will put somebody else in. It doesn't affect you. You just update the firmware. You get the new vendor. Because it doesn't make sense for a firewall vendor to try to do better AV than Kaspersky with 10,000 employees. We're only 500 people. I mean, even if we would hire 9,500 people and then try to catch up with Kaspersky or other AV vendors, we probably wouldn't succeed, and we wouldn't have time to do anything else anyway. So I think that also makes sense. Get these services because you need them, but get them from the vendor that does it best. And when they're not the best anymore, we'll take somebody else in. Make sense? It's me, I'm so annoying, I know. You know what this is? Anybody got one out there? No? I know you don't use it in Latvia yet, except for public transportation, and that's bad enough, because if you have one of these cards, you can just blip them. You can take money from them as well. So this protects your card. So if that's something you want to have, just come by me and get one. In Finland, for example, and not in Sweden, I'm from Sweden, we don't do this yet, but it's coming. You can just blip up to 30 euros. So these smart or bad guys, smart bad guys, or bad smart guys, I don't know, they will pass a bus or a subway and go blip, 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 and just collect money. Okay, you only lost 30 euros, but it's your 30 euros, right? I don't want any hacker to have all that money, because it's just not right. So tell me if you want one of those so you can get one. Here are the vendors that we actually use. On Fireboxes, it's AVG for AV, WebSense or ForcePoint for URL filtering, and so on. And I want to point out one thing. Did anyone be at the were you at the ransomware presentation before this one? You all know what ransomware is? It's almost impossible to miss nowadays, because they're being quite clever about it, encrypting it as well. The best vendor in the world actually right now is a company called Lastline. So you beat everybody else on the advanced persistent threat protection, which ransomware is a version of. And there was a competition last year, and it was again this year. And WatchGuard won both times against everybody else as the best protection. And we used Lastline, and we won over them. How could that be? Because we don't only have APT, we have all the other services that you see. So if we, God forbid, miss, because we use Lastline, we miss a malware, they want command and control today, so you can get a malware in. If you can't do anything with it, it doesn't make sense for them. It's not like in the 90s where they just wanted a big screen to die or a skeleton laughing at you or something like that, or destroy your computer. Now they want to take something, information or money. So if that fails, then the URL filtering will take away the possibility of command and control. So it makes sense. So what we're saying actually is there's no silver bullet. You can't buy one product and think it's going to keep you safe. And to be fully honest, and this is true with any firewall vendor, not only us, we will not either keep you 100% safe. We'll keep you close to safe, but you will need products from other vendors as well. I think this is a good start, and you get many vendors in the box. So if the firewalling, traditional firewalling, packet filtering doesn't do the work, you might have the intrusion prevention system that will help and stop, or the APT protection actually sends up and sandboxes and sees what the malware is doing. If it connects to Aruba and it takes money from your account, you've never done it before, it's probably not you doing it. And if it is, you can go in and say it's okay. So it looks at the things you're doing and if it makes sense that you should be doing it or not. Okay, a little bit of bragging. I said I wasn't going to brag. But when you look at UTM throughput, our products now are actually faster than most of the other firewalls on the market. There's a couple of Cisco boxes that are actually faster than us and actually have a little bit of higher catch rate as well. So why am I telling you this? Well, because in the market that I am in, which is the Baltics, Nordics, Russia, Ukraine, we have a lot of medium-sized companies. And medium-sized companies don't have the budgets of the Microsofts, of the Volvos and so on, but they have the same needs. And they're actually attacked more often nowadays when you're an SMB company or a small, medium-sized company than a big company, because it's easier for them. And the volume is going to make up for the lack of size, and it makes sense for them money-wise anyway. And therefore, it's important to have these services on and still have a fast box. Yes? Or is it just me thinks this is a good idea? Also, I told you need to know what's going on in the network. Big data tools, you all heard of that, right? You gather a lot of logs, a lot of information, and then you distill it and you try to understand what's going on in the network. If you take a medium-sized company, let's say 10 employees, and you look at the logs, I mean, you're going to need some taped glasses, some Jolt Cola, and then you have to look at about 1 million lines of code every day, or log entries, and then try to understand what's happening. So what we do is we give you a big data tool that boils down this information for you and then shows it as visible charts. If you have one like here, you see there's different sizes of the boxes. This might be somebody using a lot of bandwidth. Why is that? Everybody's complaining the internet's so slow. But actually, it's because somebody's downloading movies or torrents or something like that. Then you can see very fast. Here's Yanis. He's downloading files all day, and he shouldn't. And in most countries in Europe, it's actually illegal, and the CEO or the MD can be charged, even go to jail. So they need to know that it's not happening. And here's a good tool to know this. Here's a flow chart that will show you exactly how the traffic goes through the firewall. You can double-click on all this information, drill down. You can even do actions on them directly in the report tool. So you can see what files are being stopped. Why are they being stopped? How is it moving? Do you have threads that shouldn't be there? Sometimes you have a lot of rules in a firewall. They were made a few years ago. Nobody knows why they're there. And here you can see very easily if you need them or not. You can see where the threat comes from. It's kind of a cool feature. I must be honest with you. I never gone to China, I knocked on the door and said, you sent me a malware. I'm not happy with you. But it does show you what's happening and where in the world it comes from. And you can also do some geo-blocking in our firewall. So if you see that, I never do business with China. Now, China's not the worst. Sweden is one of the worst. The States are kind of bad as well, often top of the list. But if you do not ever do business with Sweden, then why have any data come in from Sweden? You can just stop. This area is off limit. So there's many things you can see here. You can actually see who's been on Facebook, if they're playing games, if they're porn surfing. Let's hope not. At least that work. And you can stop that kind of traffic, or you can limit and say, well, it's okay that you are on Facebook, because social media is actually a way of doing business today. But you might say that I don't want you to play games there. Or I don't want you to be on Facebook at all after 8. It's okay between 12 and 1 during lunch, and after 5, for example. So you can see it here, and then you can set rules for what is okay for you as a company. You can also get a picture of all the products that are on the network. Now, this is quite an advanced tool. There's so many things you can do with it. 25 minutes not going to be enough, and it's short anyway. So I could talk just about this slide for an hour or two. So we're not going to do that. But if you want to know more or see it, we have it in the booth. If you want to try it, I can send you a demo. If you want to have it, you buy a WatchGuard and you will get it for free. Secure wireless. Anybody has access points at the office? Anybody doesn't? No. But I went to the hotel actually today, and it's so common. So it's not like it's them or Latvia, it's everywhere. And I asked them, is there Wi-Fi? Yes, it's for free. So that's great. You expect that today, right? If it's not for free or they don't have Wi-Fi, I won't stay there the next time. And what's the code? Well, for you, my friend, we don't use any codes. You're welcome. And I'm like, well, I would have liked to have a code, actually, because I want it to be safe. Otherwise, I'm taking risks every time I'm on the network with my computer from the work. But what can you do? I tried to sell them a WatchGuard. They didn't listen. But, yeah, having a secure network on the wireless is just as important as wired security. Make sense? Yay! It does. So we have a bunch of access points that you can buy from us or through your partner. And they are controlled. The controller, the WatchGuard firewall is the controller. So you don't need any more controllers than that. And that's fine if you're a smaller company. So now we have instead a cloud-managed access point to offer as well. And I think that's when it becomes more interesting, because then you can actually deploy as many access points as you want all over the world. There are no controllers whatsoever. They're cloud-based. So there's no license or anything for that either. The more access points you have, the more you will be able to control. If you have 10 offices, you can control all the access points. They don't need to have a WatchGuard firewall, although I prefer if you do have a WatchGuard firewall. But it works with any firewall, because of course you have to watch the traffic in some fashion. How are we in time? Is good? Yeah. So what you often see that hotspots are risky. You don't want to be on hotspots. There's always a risk with that. If you're going to do it, always VPN. Virtual private network is important, and it's very easy to hack. I gotta admit, I've done it myself, just to see if it worked. You know, you stand with a rogue access point, you call it, well, we even do it here, right? We're not hacking anybody, but we're showing our access point instead and giving you access. We could drill down and take data from you as well, because you've seen there's free Wi-Fi and then you connect to it. But you don't want that on your network, right? So we have some wireless intrusion detection systems. You have some wireless intrusion prevention systems. And most companies have that. But they often turn them off. We've seen so many companies that when we ask them if they have WIPs or WIDs, and they say, yes, but it shot down the neighbor's access points. They weren't happy. And actually, there's many companies being sued for that. So they turn it off. So they don't have this kind of security. We have a patented solution that actually can see the real rogue access points and not turn off the neighbors. I was at a trade show in Sweden just recently, and there's a company there, they call themselves the best Wi-Fi in the world. It's kind of a bold statement. Cool, but bold. And they just got sued for $500,000 because they were shooting down everybody else's access points. So what we do is we have a patented threat ID. It actually sends out a signal within the network. When it checks for this, it will see if it has the signal. If it's not our access point, but it has our trace mark, then it's a rogue access point. And then we will shoot it down. I've done this for fun. I know it's not right. Don't quote me now, it's on film as well. Well, whatever. 10 minutes before a trade show was over, I shot down all the other access points just for fun. And everybody's standing, scratching their head. What happened? It's not the way it should work, but it was fun. And then you turn it on again. So it's easy to use. It's totally automated. And you should have it when you have wireless. So if you have a vendor that's selling you access points, ask them if they have WIPs. And if they say yes, say that I want to see that it doesn't shoot down the neighbor's access points. It's extremely important. If you have a controller, even with a WatchGuard, with the earlier access points, of course, the more you need, the more controllers you're going to need as well. The hardware has a limit of how many access points it can control. Cloud normally hasn't been as scalable as you would expect. So typically for SMB companies, but then you can go controller anyway. So what we have now is there's no limit. You can have 1 million access points, and if you want, let me know, because I would love to sell you 1 million access points. But it's just an example. There's no limit to it. You can use as many or as few as you want. It doesn't need a WatchGuard. It can even mix with other access points. If you just want to guard with the WIP system that actually works, you can have a few of these access points just to check for rogue access points, or rogue hotspots. We also throw in a few tools that may not be super interesting for you, but at the company there might be others that find this really interesting, that normally don't look at access points or IT products. And that's in this, and it's also included, I mean, Gartner, we love Gartner, right? They say a lot. Sometimes they're right as well. They always complain at WatchGuard saying, you're so poor at charging people for your stuff. First of all, you're a bit too cheap, so people don't think you're serious, but we are dead serious. You give away the software for big data, and now you're giving away this. Why are you doing this? And we're like, well, we think it's in there. We can give it. We still make money. We're a healthy company. We've been around since '96. And this is a tool for splash pages, so you can send out offers as a company or a store. Come in, get a free coffee, look at our latest, I don't know, snowmobiles. I don't know why I came up with that. Maybe because I want to buy one. You can have them sign in, social media, get more information. As a customer, if you get something extra, it might be interesting. But for the company that offers this, it's interesting to get user data in. We can also see where people are going, where they're walking. So if you have like a fantastic sweater, whatever that is, and you have a red one here, and everybody's standing here and nobody's ever there, why? Maybe we shouldn't have these red dresses or whatever it is. It's not selling anyway. If you have a big supermarket or, what do you call them, with all these stores? A mall. You have a mall and you have some stairs and escalators. Nobody's using that escalator. Everybody's using this one. Maybe I should turn that into store space. It's going to make more money. It's going to make more sense. But also, as I mentioned, you can see if somebody's connecting where they're standing. So if somebody's standing with a rogue access point, they're trying to steal data or information or money from your customers or from you. You can tell them it's behind the reception by the toilet. He's standing there, go and talk to him or send the police or something. But it doesn't matter. It's in quarantine anyway, so they can't do anything, but still, you don't want them there. So we have the security in this, but of course, hopefully our firewall, but some firewall. If you choose a firewall not from us, please use UTM. Don't forget to use advanced persistent threat blocking for ransomware and such. Choose something that can scale when you do. If you can get information, business analytics out of this, you can buy this as separate tools, of course, but you don't have to when there's WatchGuard because it comes for free. And there's some really nice tools to engage your customers if you have customers that visit a store or something like that. And then you can actually say that you have secure Wi-Fi, not, I don't have any codes. There's nothing. You're welcome. It's not. I think that before you would choose a hotel that gave you Wi-Fi. Then you choose a hotel that gave you free Wi-Fi. Now you will soon say that I'm not going to use that hotel because it's not safe at all. A lot of tools for this. I'm not going to go into depth with them all. Pretty okay on time? It's the last one. I can do this forever. You will never come home. You have to call your wife and kids and tell them that this crazy person from WatchGuard here, he doesn't let us go. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet. So you actually get a floor plan, and you can see where people are moving, where they have the rogue access points, and what they're doing. And yes, there's a lot of information and control here. So you have to use it wisely, because I don't think that people know that as soon as you go in somewhere, if you have a mobile phone, we will see where you're going. We don't know it's you necessarily, but we see it's the same person going to that store, that window, every day after work. Maybe we should send something out to him. Special price on everything in that window. There's a mobile app. That sold it, didn't it? Now you just have to have one. Of course, there's some smart tools to be used on your iPad or your iPhone or your Android device, or whatever it can be. There's a RESTful API, so you can connect to other systems that you have to make it even smarter. And as I mentioned, have a WatchGuard in every corner. At least you can see if somebody's in there doing rogue stuff. Or, the better picture, only WatchGuard. Everybody's nodding. It was none, Janis, not one. They're not sold yet. So, first hands and stress-free that actually works. And I challenge you to find an access point vendor that has a WIPS that's turned on after it's been sold. I really don't, we've never found it. There are tools that you can use that will cost you a lot of money. Probably more than the whole firewall and the access point system is going to cost. So you can get more value. And yes, I went to Norway, and I'm going to mention another vendor. A company in Norway said to me, Peter, you got to come over. You guys have sent us a quote. And we also did a POC. We did that with Palo Alto and you guys. You were faster, had more functionality, you stopped more threats than they did, but you just cost half the money. Is this really serious? Yep, I think so. I want you to come over. It's kind of a big deal as well. So he showed me a screen. Palo Alto on this side, WatchGuard on that side. He says, look, you're doing more, they're not doing as much, and look, here's the sum. Can this really be correct? No. I knew it. He said, I knew it. No, because you took both systems that we offered as options and you put them together. It's only 25% actually. It was, oh my God. So it's don't overpay. It doesn't have to be bad just because it doesn't cost as much as the others. Is that a good message? Or do you want to pay more? I can double it or even triple it. That's all I had actually today. And I know it's not a lot of, you've seen so many presentations now about threats, Ashley Madison, Stuxnet, whatever it can be. I mean, we have the same. It's the same bad guys for all the vendors. So I just want to give you a little bit of insight on who WatchGuard are and what we think and what we do every day. So if you're interested, then you let us know, or you talk to your partner, your IT reseller, and you let them know, I want to see more from WatchGuard, and we'll come and show you. And it will be a good price. Thank you, guys.